Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. Our first stop today is with the crew of the SKS shuttle still in low Earth orbit. We are just going to time warp out a little bit so that they can circularize their orbit. They need to be below 325 kilometers on that apogee side in order to fulfill the terms of this contract. So we'll just do a very quick burn here on our OMS engines, forgetting slightly that we need to aim nose up from our actual node because the engines are offset. But yes, now they are satisfying the contract, and we're just going to leave them parked here for the next 11 days or so and jump back out to Tremonia Station, which is on its way to the moon. So just a quick check of our balance here and making sure that fuel tanks on the habitat module and the laboratory module are good and locked so that they don't throw off the balance when we do this burn. Now, it's telling us last episode that we did not have an encounter, so I'm just going to go ahead and plot this node out at our, I guess it's our ascending node, maybe it's just our apogee, to give us a good encounter with the moon, and that'll give us a nice tight low flyby so that we can maximize our Oberth effect when we go to circularize. And then just a quick check of our comms equipment to make sure that we have, in fact, low-range comms. We'll set one of these dishes for Earth, the other one for active vessel, because why not maximize our time utilizing the relay? And a very nice shot of the Earth as we depart. A slightly less good shot of the moon as we make our approach. But it is still several days away. And then, of course, Kerbal construction time and Kerbal alarm clock will ruin our day there a little bit, throttling the time warp and giving me a small heart attack that there was some other mission out there that I perhaps forgot about. So as we approach our node, well, we'll be very delicate there on the time warp. Eventually getting to within about 2 minutes of said burn, it's about 130 some odd meters per second correction. We'll fire up our service propulsion system, which tells us the total burn time is going to be about 3 minutes and some coin. We're still about 2 minutes out from the node, so not the worst plotted thing in the history of the world. And there it is. We do have our encounter, and we're just trying to bring that encounter low enough again so that we can get some good use out of what Oberth effect we can snatch from the moon and aiding us in our circularization burn, which is going to be the lion's share of the remaining Delta V that we have left. The rebalancing we did last time seems to be working quite well. It's pretty much all hands off. SAS is engaged, and you can see the occasional puff from the thrusters. But we're emptying the last bits of fuel from that very outside tank from our leftover from our HG3 mounting plate docking adapter. Not really sure what it qualifies as, but at this point it's basically just an extended range fuel tank. No big deal. But as soon as that is done and drained, we will be jettisoning it. And it looks like it's not going to be this burn, but it will probably be right smack in the middle of our circularization burn, which is super convenient. But I don't know, I'd rather have the fuel and use it than get rid of it prematurely. And just a quick glance at this, and yeah. There's our circularization, and we are basically coming in the exact opposite rotation of our crewed vessel that is still in lunar orbit, who support the crew down at down at Rosalina Memorial Station. Ooh, sorry, I keep making that mistake. An executive decision was made to just not worry about it. All future incoming vessels will have to match the rotation of the station. We will figure out later on about whether or not we want to cycle the crew up to this station from the lunar surface or not, which ideally was the plan, because the lander that they took down there is designed to be reusable and refuelable for unlimited trips to and from the lunar surface. So more than likely what will happen is the crew will launch and rendezvous to Harmonia when their tour of duty is completed, and then we will use the automated systems on the Super Artemis, or I guess the Perseus, and have it invert its orbit and rendezvous with Tremonia Station, and thus being able to take the crew home. We still do have quite an ample supply of life support aboard this station, plus whatever they would be bringing back with them on the lander, so it's not a grave concern if they have to spend a couple of days in the quite expansive laboratory and much better housing conditions on this orbital station than what they have available to them on the surface. But we have started to make our circularization burn, our orbital insertion burn, I guess, here at the moon. It's 700 and something meters per second, which is well within budget, especially considering that we're going to shed quite a bit of mass here just as soon as this tank is empty. It was also nearly a 20-minute burn that I did not want to use physics time warp for reasons that should be pretty obvious. Quite convinced this thing would just shake itself apart. And there is our camera change indicating that we have in fact entered orbit. Just a little bit of fuel balancing, making sure that we're pulling all of our fuel, including thruster fuel, from the docking adapter for the HG3 stage. And the good news here is since there's not really a whole lot to report, we can just go ahead and speed up the footage here in post as we finish draining off the docking adapter. We'll actually pump a little bit of fuel into it before getting rid of it so that it can deorbit itself, push it to the side, and then carry on without it interfering with us. But of course that little switch means that our node reset itself, so I'll just be managing the rest of this burn manually, keeping my eye on that apoapsis figure until we get to something that kind of approximates our 200 kilometer desired orbit. Of course, we'll have to make a touch-up burn, so we'll plot a node to do that, and then swiftly fly right past it. But we will, in fact, get that correction made, get our orbit leveled out, and enjoy our success. Now, I wouldn't leave you without having to deal with this docking adapter. It does still have some fuel in it. We intended to deorbit it, so we'll just get it up to its apogee. I will remember that, oh yeah, there's nothing facing the orientation of the engine, so if we want to go backwards, we have to point forwards. There's a quick burn to put us on a collision course with the moon, and we'll just slowly follow its orbit in. Wow. Moon comes at you fast. It's only got about 850 meters per second of delta V, thankfully. I just had to check there that it wasn't going to pile into our research station, but knowing my luck, that may have actually been a thing. We'll just fire these engines up in a just to see what kind of happens. Yeah. Clean destruction. Nothing remains. That's going to do it for this one, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really do appreciate it, and I will see all of you in the next one. So until then, see you later.